What's the haps? I'm Meroka, and today I'm going to be taking a quick look at Faron's Fate by Winter Drake Teller. This is a game that I feel like I might be going into this a little biased, so I'm going to get this up front. I covered this game back in February when I was running my Indie Insights series, and I didn't particularly enjoy this game, but the developer has come to me and said he really wants me to check this out again. So that is what I'm doing. I've spent a little while, spent about an hour and a half digging into the game and seeing what there is to see. And I feel like I'm in a good place where I can actually talk about this now. So we'll head on into settings first and foremost. These are options. We have sound effects and music on separate sliders, so that's cool. Your resolution options are non-existent. It's 840 by 640 window or full screen. That's all you got. It's locked at 30 FPS, which is also not really great. Don't particularly like that. I complained about that back in February. That has not been addressed. Your other options are controller vibration, I am playing this on a gamepad, and you can rebind the keyboard, so that's nice to see. Lighting detail, you got a slider there, you got darkness, so you can tweak things graphically to your preferences, really. That's more of a personal preference kind of thing, to be honest. Text speeds, I'm not sure what that's about, presumably how long the text lingers on the screen, I guess, because there's not a lot of text other than, you know, item descriptions. And freeze frames, I don't even know what that does, actually. I tried adjusting it, I couldn't see any immediate obvious difference, so I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, and there's a weird audio glitch where if you're on the gamepad, or possibly keyboard, I haven't tried it with the keyboard, but definitely with the gamepad, if you scroll to the top of the options menu, it just kind of keeps clicking for some reason, and that's really annoying. Yeah, so that's not great. So yeah, let's head on in. Let's do a normal run of Faron's Fate. This is a dungeon crawly roguelikey thing that's going to be very reminiscent of Binding of Isaac. We've got this little pixel art dude, and he's going to be running through a little pixel art dungeon for no adequately explored reason. There's no story to speak of whatsoever. And he has a sword, and we can swing it, and we can break things with our sword, our little wooden sword. And the first thing I complained about last time around was that the animation of this was awful. The animation for this is entirely unchanged. This is still the most complex sword animation you will see in the game. Entirely, that's all there is to it. That's all you're going to get. And then we're going to get a variety of enemies, which also appear to be, for the most part, unchanged. There's a few graphical changes, but yeah, a lot of what I saw way back when still looks the same. So, I'm not a big fan of the visual style. It's just too basic. If you want pixel art, there's a lot of really gorgeous pixel art games out there on the market. This is not a really gorgeous pixel art game. This is a fairly basic one. We've got a different weapon here. Weapons are pretty abundant. There's weapons and equipment and things are all over the place. So you can just pick up anything to swap it out. Power staff, damage and crit up, but it's going to cost me mana to swing it, which means I'm going to be wanting to pick up these things all the time. So let's go with this. I don't think I've actually properly had a good use of this. So yeah, it's doing like 9 damage a time, so it's a pretty nice one. But if I run out of mana, presumably, I don't know what would happen if you ran out of mana. Presumably you wouldn't be able to swing it, I would have thought. Or maybe it reverts to just being an ordinary wooden sword. We have treasure chests. Treasure chests also pretty abundant, but I need keys for those. I have no keys, so I'm going to have to go try and find some keys somewhere in this dungeon. Shops. Shops also so far so standard. I can buy... The golden key allows me to unlock all the chests on the floor for no use of keys, which is kind of nice, but I don't have the money for any of these. Bag of bombs would be cool, and... I'm not really sure what that is. A jar of blue squiggly things. Hard to say what I'm getting out of that one. There are, as you would expect from a roguelike kind of thing, a good number of items. I don't think there's an incredible number of items compared to a lot of competitors on the market. It is still, it feels lacking in that regard. So yeah, it has turned into a wooden sword. I've run out of mana, basically. So it's just doing the basic 4 damage. If I do that, suddenly now it's more powerful. But then I'm going to run out again. So that's interesting. So basically your wooden sword is definitely the worst sword in the game. Anything you pick up is pretty much going to be a direct upgrade. So yeah, if you see something, might as well snag it. Callous Snow for damage from floor hazards. That's kind of cool. Not seen one of those before. I am still finding new items, but compared to something like, and I think the main point of comparison I'm going to be making is Binding of Isaac, because in this sort of grid-based dungeon crawling, it is, you know, kind of the peak of the genre. It is the benchmark to which we hold all others. Yeah, compared to games like that, Binding of Isaac you can play a bunch of times and very rarely, if ever, see the same thing twice. Whereas, whoop, don't want to be near that. Whereas in this, you do find the same items pretty commonly. I found the same swords a few times. I found the same armors a bunch of times. I think there's only like 4 armor sets in the game. As you can see, we do have like armor slots aside. You get head, chest, and boots. And there's 4 fairly basic ones. So slowing touch, and I didn't catch what that did. There's some sort of slowing touch. I guess if I hit things, or if things hit me, they touch me, I guess they get snared. I guess I need to actually touch them and not just simply attack them. Yeah, so there we go. He touched me and got snared. So there's a nice little defensive thing. The zombies are confusing the heck out of me. I know they're mine, but I keep trying to swing at them. So yeah, that's good. Get the fly. Cool. I have a key, so we can see what's in that. Food is good. Mana is good for my sword. And because I've got something that tells me where all the stuff is, I know there's a boss room in the next room. There is probably a secret room in here, I think. There are secret rooms hidden around. And this looks like there's potential for one in there. Just looking at the map. No, there was not. Okay, never mind. That's a waste of 2 of my bombs, but hey-oh. So yeah, the armor is definitely something that Binding of Isaac didn't do. Okay, that's a ridiculously powerful sword. But I don't know if it adds a lot. A lot of the stuff is just fairly basic. Most of the items we seem to pick up in the game fairly flat stat upgrades. I got some money, so let's go back to that shop. Let's clear out the shop before we go. I can see from the map there's also some mana potions left lying around, which is probably worth picking up as well. I don't have any keys, so I'm not going to be able to get any of those chests. Or I could take that. All chests are now double chests. Oh, it's not the key I thought it was. That basically means I now need 2 keys to open these, but they're going to have double loot in them. It's not ideal in this situation, but there you go. Right, there's a double chest there. I can't open it. There's a double chest there. I can't open it. Great. Never mind. The gold and silver chests both use the same keys. You'd kind of almost expect them to use different keys, but no, they use the same. So yeah, you got all these swords, you got all these armors, you got 4 armor sets, you got the knight armor, which just makes you higher defense, slower movement speeds. The wizard set simply just makes your magic spells more powerful. I haven't even really used my spells. That's not a spell, that's a bomb, but that worked quite nicely actually. Yeah, if I press Y on the gamepad, yeah, I've got a slingshot, which will also use my mana. Emerald Sword's nice, crit chance up, but there you go, again, it's sort of flat stat upgrade. It's just, I now have a slightly higher chance to crit. If I have this, I've got a 5% crit chance. Crit does double damage. If I pick this up, I've now got a 15% crit chance. So it's just plus 10% crit. The sword doesn't do anything terribly compelling or interesting or unique. It's just a higher crit chance, which is kind of bland as far as things go. Again, main point of comparison, your Binding of Isaac. Binding of Isaac did a lot of interesting things with items in that game. A lot of those games had really crazy, exotic, weird effects that in a lot of cases, drastically change the game. A lot of the items in these don't drastically change the game. They're really just kind of basic things. They just, like, numbers go up. Here's all your numbers. If you pick up an item, those numbers can go up. And it's kind of a little lackluster, really. So I think all those chests are now double chests, aren't they? Because I have the double chest thingy. Yeah, they are. Let's double check the other one, which means I'm going to need more keys. Now, to be fair, keys I have found often tend to be fairly abundant in this compared to other games. It's like, here's lots of keys, but I'm not having great luck with them this time. So, who knows. No, there was TNT. I was thinking there could be a secret there, but I think the TNT would have blown that open if I had that. So there's your full knight set. It doesn't tell you what they are, and for some reason the shop manages to duplicate an item, which I would have said a shop shouldn't do, because that kind of defeats a lot of the point of the shop, really. I could buy 2 pieces of the armor set. There's an achievement for getting all of it, but they're fairly bland. They're just not terribly interesting. And they've got an iron sword. The iron sword is simply more powerful. This sword, if I swing it, it will do 4 damage, as you can see from my stats. If I pick that up, that sword does 5 damage. It's really not all that interesting. The zombie thing is like the most interesting thing I've got going on at the minute, out of all the equipment that I've got on me. Great, we've got a key, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to go check out our chest now. So the shop's utterly worthless to me there. I suppose I could take some armor, but I kind of like the movement speed as well, to be honest. Getting slowed down's inconvenient. What we got in there? Got 2 keys in there. Okay, so we've got Thief's Cap, which improves my luck, and Thieves' Boots, which improves speed and mana stealing. which would actually be quite nicely combined with that other sword that I had that I left somewhere in a dungeon. Yeah, because the mana stealing would then synergize with the mana sword. There's a different spell and far better than my standard one, so it's probably worth taking that. So I'll just damage all the enemies on the screen. They're gonna try and do a number on this guy. This is our boss fight, of course. None of the bosses are even massively compelling, I don't feel. If we do that, that'll kill everything. Yeah, that's a nice spell. It's the only chance I'm going to get to use that spell here, so... because I do not have the mana for it. Unless any of the flies drop any mana, but I don't know if any of these flies are going to drop any loot. I don't think they will. They're kind of too basic an enemy, I think, for that to happen. In some cases, bosses do summon quite a lot of ads that can drop a lot more loot and give you something to work with during the fight, but in this instance, it's kind of basic. So we've got poison bombs, which poisons enemies in a large radius if you're using bombs in combat, and full HP plus HP up as loot from that thing. We've got 4 more rooms, so might as well make our way through them, absolutely. Might as well get all the things that we can out of our dungeon crawling experience. Get that mana. See if that blows a hole in the wall. It does not. I feel like there will be a secret one somewhere. I've got enough bombs that I can probably attempt to have a go at finding out. Is there a hole in that wall? There is not. There is another sword that is purely a knockback sword. It's a basic statistic. So yeah, now the knockback's up. I think that's the top right stat. I don't know, if we check it we can find out. Yeah, so basic knockback is 10. That makes it 15. You can boost stats quite a way. In fact, there are shrines in this game which have random effects. Some will give you items in exchange for losing your max health. Some will give you kind of a challenge kind of thing. Again, nothing you haven't seen before in a roguelike kind of thing. They're fairly standard features in this kind of game. But one of them just randomizes all of your stats. And that one's just, like, crazy powerful. What is this guy doing? This is a ghost that looks a lot like me. This is some weird challenge enemy, but there we go. And he did reveal to us a secret room. This is exactly what we're looking for. So there is a wishing well which allows us to donate. Not seen this one before, but let's find out what it does. Allows us to throw our money away. Mildly curious if it does anything if I keep doing that. Oh, it does. Eventually it does. It gives us the mind, which reveals the map, which I think probably is very similar to the fact that we just found a map that revealed the map. Yeah, okay. Right, so let's put a couple of keys in there. That's a whole bunch of stuff. Lots of bombs, some food, a ton of mana. I kind of like that power staff, because then the power staff will work well with the fact that we got... I think I did get a mana thingy before, didn't I, right? Got some mana stealing. Sometimes hard to remember what you've got in terms of passive items. There's nowhere in the game that actually lists any of the passive items. You pick up things and it's like, okay, you got this item, it's boosted this stat, but you got no way of really keeping track of that. Items that you're wearing on your person and actual pieces of equipment that will be swapped out, they're obviously on the screen. Any kind of auras and effects are down in the bottom right-hand corner as your kind of like buffs and debuffs kind of thing. So they work in that regard. I shouldn't be spending all my mana on breaking grass, but grass sometimes hides things. Got some slime in there. Let's fight the slime. There we go. Got some keys and things. Bullet biter destroy bullets with your sword swing, which is kind of cool. There is a sword that specifically does that. And gems can be broken for more money, so I'm going to take those. Yes, that's fun. I could get the others as well, but it's going to cost me a few bombs to get there. That said, I have a lot of bombs, so it's maybe fairly worthwhile. Let's throw a bomb down there. Get the monies out of that. There we go. Lots of money. If I ever find a wishing well, I can throw them in there again. One of the big issues I had with the game before was mostly just the hit detection. A lot of bullets, like, it felt unfair last time I played this game. It really did. It just felt like you were taking damage for no reason a lot of the time. Damage up, speed down. And I've got no way to undo that. That was just a straight... That's an effect that's now applied to me. I can't get rid of that now, which is unfortunate. But yeah, last time I had a lot of issue with that. They definitely improved the system. That system has been improved. Mushrooms is a poison effect. That's fun. I don't really want that. I want to be able to heal. The only way to cure this is to heal, so I need to find some healing items pretty quick fast. Don't know whether I'm going to manage that. No! Game over. Let's try again. Let's hop back in. Level 1. So that's definitely been improved. I still don't think it's quite right. I think you kind of get the hang of it after a little while, but the way collision detection in the game works is just really as straightforward as if the sprites are touching, damage is dealt. And this is something that can be learned from... It's a common lesson that is taken from not Binding of Isaac, Super Meat Boy, in fact. Which is say that that's not necessarily always the best way to do it. It's sometimes, you know, if like the edge of a fly's wing touches like my pinky finger of the sprite while I'm swinging a sword, that counts as a hit. And that feels pretty unfair sometimes. You're like, I don't feel justified in having taken that damage there. It feels like I shouldn't have taken it. It's not like I ran headlong into the enemy. I did there, but hey. A lot of the times you kind of get clipped by stuff. As I say, you get used to kind of where hitboxes and things are after a while, but at first you kind of feels like the game is just kind of cheating you. And the way the sword animation works is like, you've kind of got this little bit of a blind spot on your right hand side because the sword's swinging from left to right every time. So that whilst you're swinging, you're kind of leaving yourself just a little bit open on the right, and enemies can sneak in behind that. There are items that improve your reach, and that just kind of makes that effect even more pronounced, because the sword, all the reach stat does is move the sword further away from your body during the animation, so that if an enemy sneaks in behind the sword, they can hit you. So we've got a kind of a blood shrine thingy, a demon shrine I think is the technical term for it in this game, which allows us to trade 5 of our maximum health permanently for an upgrade. I don't think I want to do that because I don't have enough health to work with at this stage in the game. If I had a lot of health upgrades from killing bosses and things, I'd be more inclined to go with that, but right now, not so much. Now, I mentioned the shrines earlier. I don't think I ever quite finished my train of thought on that. I should say one of them is like really badly broken. Most of them are just your standard fare, and then there's one of them is the Shrine of Fate, which randomizes all of your stats. And I've seen a discussion on the Steam forums about this, saying, oh, this is broken. It's like, no, the developer weighed in saying, no, this is working as intended. This is how that shrine is supposed to work. Well, the way it works is that it randomizes every single one of your stats. Your maximum health, your attack, your speed, your magic, your armor, your crit chance, all of those numbers become randomized. And they all have an extremely high cap, if they even have a cap at all, I don't know. I would suggest it sort of hovers somewhere in the region of 100 for most of the stats. I know you can still pick up more upgrades and push it beyond 100, but when it comes to randomization, it seems to pick a number between 0 and 100 and give you those values for those stats. Well, look at the stats. They all start out really low. If we're picking a number between 0 and 100 on my attack stats, there's only a 4% chance that that my attack is going to go down. I'm willing to take that chance. There's a 96% chance that I'm going to get a much higher attack value. Same for magic, it's 6. Well, there's only a 6% chance that's going to go down. There's a 94% chance that's going to go up. I couldn't possibly get a lower armor value. I'm going to get much better armor out of it. Same for almost all of these stats. So that's just a free shrine that just goes, hey, now you're OP as all hell. The developer claims that it's fair because the numbers can go down as well as up, but it's just not statistically likely that it would. When you look at the numbers and what the potential value outcomes of them are, compared to how much you're actually likely to get from items in the game, Altar of Chance, pray. I'll pray. That's great. So we've got a compass from the Altar of Chance. That is one of the altars. He's not the Altar of Fate, so that's okay. It's not the OP one. It would be hilarious to show you that one because I did manage to beat the game trivially with one Altar of Fate. At the moment you pray at the Altar of Fate, suddenly your attack value is now more than 10 times what it was. Probably, I don't know. I managed to end... I had a attack value of like 5 or 6, went to the Altar of Fate, and suddenly it's like, oh, now your attack is 80, and your magic is like 60, your maximum health is like 80, you've got about 50 mana, your movement speed is like 20, your knockback was insane, everything you hit goes flying across the room, and there's a really good chance they're going to be critted as well, and you're just destroying everything in the game with 1 or 2 sword swings, including bosses. Hedgehog's curse. Defense up, but lose coins on hit. Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog, very good. I get it. I get references. Got homing projectiles as a magic spell. Yeah, I'll probably take that because we've got a boss in the next room. Let's go fight a boss. I've got 15 mana, let's see what we can do with that. There's my homing projectiles. I can fire a bunch of those at the bats. he's going to fire some projectiles at us. I'm out of mana now, so I'm not going to fire any more projectiles at the bat. The bosses are not crazy tough. Like I say, it's going to shoot, what, 3 projectiles at me, summon a couple of bat adds, and it's dead. I don't think did that even hit me? I'm not sure it did. Got Bat's Tooth spread projectiles as a thing. I can't fire that because I don't have any mana. But we've also got a Armored Heart, health and defense. So I've got a little bit more health, and my defense is now up to 1.5. So there you go. I think that probably covers most of the things. It's a competent game, but I still don't think it does anything interesting or noteworthy compared to anything else in the genre. The graphical style is just, I feel, really bland compared to anything else. Binding of Isaac is well renowned for its incredibly dark, creepy, and very striking visual style that nothing else does. If you're not a fan of the Binding of Isaac style, a game I looked at a while back called A Wizard's Lizard. I'm dropping all my coins because I'm Sonic the Hedgehog now. A Wizard's Lizard had a really cute style. It did exactly the same thing. It's a very similar kind of game, but it had a really cute style. And I dug that a lot. I really liked A Wizard's Lizard's graphical style. This just doesn't do anything that makes me go, wow, that's pretty. The animations, of course, as I say, the less said about the animations, the better. The items just mostly feel pretty bland. Occasionally you get something interesting. The earthquake on hit thing seems like it has the potential to be... Yeah, there we go. That was the earthquake on hit. I was thinking that had the potential to be interesting, but it's only mildly interesting. It's not very interesting. It just borrows a lot of elements heavily from a lot of other games without really building upon them. It's just more... It's more borrowed than iterative. It doesn't build upon existing ideas so much as it just takes them and puts them into what feels like a broadly very generic game. So I got a lot of money to spend. I suppose we can pick some things up. Eyeball improves my damage. That's just a flat stat upgrade. How about that? Green dice, crit chance, flat stat upgrade. How about that? And then Wizard's Robe, magic, and mana up. Hey, look at those flat stat upgrades. So 3 items out of store. I bought all of them, and they all just gave me flat stat upgrades. It's just not compelling, really. It's like, could any of these do something interesting? Yes, they could. Do they? No, they don't. The zombies are the most interesting thing we've seen today. Well, the character does look a little bit visually different when you get wear armor, but so did Isaac, and Isaac looked a lot more interesting than, hey, now you've got a blue shirt on. What's the book? Knockback buff. Okay, so I can buff myself temporarily, I suppose. The Bat's Tooth is probably more interesting. I don't think I've used this. Let's find out what that does. This is my spread projectiles. It doesn't seem to spread so much. Oh, okay. It fired 3 then. I'm not sure exactly how the mechanics of that one work, but again, it's just shoot something at the enemy. I need to stop taking hits. Although I seem to be tanking the hits pretty well, so not the end of the world. And there are lots of cool stuffs. I think the silver ones just tend to contain lots of just a ton of low-level items for, you know, healing you up and money and whatnot. I got 4 items we can pick up. It's just, hey, look at those passive upgrades. We can up my damage, up my crit, up my knockback, up my luck. Words. Damage. I'll take damage. Let's do that. Why not? Now I can swing for 7 damage. Oh, the power. The power unending. And it's still paltry. All these upgrades are just like, hey, now you have 1 more stat, which is all pales when you come to something like the Shrine of Fate, which is just like, now all your numbers that you've been working towards are utterly meaningless and trivial. This has just trivialized the entire game. It's game breaking. I know it's not. It's apparently not supposed to be. No, I'll take this. It's not supposed to be game breaking, but it thoroughly is. Right. Let's kill the twin bats. What have I got with the... I've got my spread projectiles. If you hold down Y, you can use the bumpers to target which one you want to shoot at, but... It's as I said before, that's a kind of fiddly mechanic. This boss is at least slightly interesting in that it does change its attack pattern when you kill one of the 2, but still not the most challenging thing in the world. Gemini's head, 8 direction projectiles. Coolio, and a barbed heart, which gives me health and damage. The thing is, also compared to its competitors, it's not even priced particularly well. We're asking £4.99 for this game. Well, guess what? Binding of Isaac plus its expansion costs exactly the same as that. It is £4.99 or your regional equivalent. Binding of Isaac, the game that made this genre as popular as it is today, costs exactly the same as this game, and it's technically, I would say, vastly superior. It is the better game, and it costs exactly the same. Okay, I now have my robe and wizard hat. Amazing, fantastic. Give me the monies. Good stuff. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, the remastered version, it is a little more expensive, but the base Binding of Isaac, if you haven't played it, it costs exactly the same. If you have played Binding of Isaac and you played it to death and you're really looking for something new, well, I don't think this one's going to scratch the itch, really. If you're a fan of Binding of Isaac and you jump into this, I think you're just going to find it lackluster, so I'm not really sure who the market for this is, other than people who really, really, really crave roguelikes and are literally just looking for something that they haven't yet played. Because that's all there is. I don't know who this is appealing to. I'm sorry to say it. It's the two main markets I can think of are Binding of Isaac fans who are going to be disappointed, and I don't. Haunted Blade, that's a new one. Crit damage way up, crit steal damage itself. Oh, interesting. Not seen that before. Yeah, you got your Binding of Isaac fans who are not going to be impressed by this, and whoever else I said there was someone else. I've lost my train of thought. It happens. Either way, I'm afraid this is not something I'm going to be able to recommend. It just brings nothing new to the table. It is generic dungeon crawler, the generic dungeon crawler game. I mean, Christ, the full title of the game is Adventure Dungeon 2, the Faron's Fate, which implies it is a sequel to a game by the name of Adventure Dungeon 2, Adventure Dungeon even, which is, again, a fairly generic sounding thing. And it is. That's just all it is. It is the most generic game. I've got a snowman buddy who's a freezing turret. That sounds kind of fun. Let's slow this down. So, I keep messing up. Oh, I see, it costs a lot of mana, I don't have mana. I keep pressing bomb instead of spell, but that is more my failing than the game's. I just need to learn my controls better. Oh, and that skeleton's not dead, so it still damages me. Of course it does! This game's still got issues. Lots of issues. And most of them are just being bland, I'm afraid. They are mushrooms. They're basically your old school... Yeah, they are old school roguelike effects. What does blinded do? I don't feel blinded. That did not appear to visually do anything. I got frenzy and I'm blinded. Yeah, that's kind of cute in the way that it is a old school thing, old school roguelike effect. It's all the mushroom effects are randomized at the start of each dungeon, and they will be consistent each time. So that will do the same as last time I picked it up. So every time I find a red mushroom, it will have the frenzy effect. Next time I play the game, oh, now I'm doing spells instead of bombs. Great. Next time I play the game, those red ones might do something entirely else. They probably will. There's a very good likelihood. But these brown ones will... Okay, now I'm going to hallucinate, but next time around they might be the frenzy effects or what have you. It does vary a lot. Here, there's some stuff. We'll grab those and carry on. So yeah, I'm going to be very hard-pressed to recommend this game to you, I'm afraid. We've got another boss that's just going to sit here and shoot projectiles at me, and he's not going to be the most interesting thing in the world. I can't quite get my... I was going to throw down my snowman, see if he could help us out here, but he's not going to do that. This boss is very unthreatening. And he's dead. Yeah. It's rather indicative of the whole game. That this is a mid-game boss. There are only 3 levels. There are 2 floors to each level, and there's only 3 levels. And it's, like I say, if you get that Shrine of Fate, it's trivial to beat the whole thing. Yeah. So I have beaten the game, and I've no real desire to go back and play it again, to be quite honest. There we go. Adventure Dungeon 2, Faron's Fate, the genericing. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Meroka. See you next time.